and welcome to my podcast, A Penny for Your Thoughts with me, Steve Penny. Over the coming weeks, I'm going to be talking to some great people. I hope you enjoy listening in. Thank you. Thank you, Sarah, for taking the time to join me on my little podcast today. It's great to talk to you outside of work stuff for a little while, although I'm sure we'll touch on work stuff because that kind of seems to be the way these things go. So if you wouldn't mind... Yeah, exactly. Yeah. If you wouldn't mind just giving us a brief intro of who you are and what you do, and then we can sort of go through questions and see where we go.
Awesome. No, thanks for inviting me on, Steve. I run Little Black Books, which is a bookkeeping practice, and we specialise in cash flow strategies. And it's more about creating great business habits for businesses, because for me, it's about family first. So for me, it's about creating better businesses and better lifestyles. And I live by that too. So I have a young family, 3 children, and a dog. Who I wanted to give back in the first 2 years. That was tough. But
a bit like the kids sometimes, I think.
It is sometimes, isn't it? 3 o'clock rolls around very quickly. But yeah, so that's me. I run the bookkeeping practice, but it's more than bookkeeping. It is a lot of management accounting, really, as we know. And we live in sunny Devonport, which is beautiful right now. Mm-hmm. Terrible that's weather lately.
Yeah, Auckland's been hammered a bit, hasn't it, for the last probably 3 or 4 months, I'd say.
It really has been. Yep.
Yeah. At least you've had no volcanoes erupting. It's just been bad weather.
Yeah, well, we used to live in Christchurch.
Well, there is that. Yes, there is that. Yes. So look, you're a bookkeeper now. Have you always been a bookkeeper? Is that what you've always done?
No, actually, going right back, I first started trading as a midwife.
Okay, I did not know that. That's good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and realised actually this is really not the direction that I wanted to take. Mm-hmm. So what I did is I asked myself I picked accounting after that because I didn't think I could do it.
What, accounting?
Yep. Okay. I thought it was really tough and hard, and I thought I'm going to have a crack at that and give it a go. Yeah. And really enjoyed it. And it's taken me on, like, I always thought I wanted to get certified as a certified accountant. But what happened is I ended up in roles that led me to management accounting and helping businesses grow internally rather than deal with the tax side. The more I learned about tax, the more I realized I didn't know. So that's what led me there. And then hedge funds, financial analysis. And then when I was pregnant with my second child in London, I wasn't putting my family first, really. I was working long hours, not seeing my oldest daughter much at all. As you know, coming from
the UK, yes, that's the pleasure of working in the UK, isn't it? Yeah.
Well, that's right. And I knew something had to change. I didn't want to keep doing what I was doing. So I made the decision to come back to New Zealand, and that's when I started my own business. Right. And I haven't looked back. Yeah.
So just sort of circling back to the midwife thing, what was the driver behind thinking that's where you wanted to go?
Oh, do you know what? I don't think I was thinking.
Okay.
It was. Oh, I think I wanted to do something. I wanted to have impact. Yeah. And family is very important to me. Yeah. And I thought that's the direction I wanted to go.
Okay.
But it wasn't quite the impact I wanted. I knew I wanted to be a mother. Yeah. And, as I said, family is important, but it's not quite where I wanted to be once I started training. Yeah. And so I pulled out, and I realized it wasn't going to be, it was going to be quite time consuming, wasn't it? Yeah. Like it could be at any time of day, you're pulled in, you're on call, and I wanted to have more control over my time.
So you went to become working for a hedge fund where you had no control over your time whatsoever instead.
Again, yes.
So look, that's the midwife training here in New Zealand, and then so what was the decision process about going over to the UK?
Me and my husband James, we met in Wellington, and he was going over.
Right.
And we'd been together for a couple of years before then. And I had just finished my degree in accounting and was working for a PR agency in their finance department. And I wanted to go with them. I had never left New Zealand.
Right. Okay.
It's my first time leaving New Zealand. So I was about early 20s. Yep. And so we decided to go together. And I did want to travel. And that's what sort of made that step. And we actually went in 2008, which was the financial crash.
Oh, my God. Yeah, that was a good year to go to the UK.
It was.
Not.
Yeah. So James, being an architect, couldn't find work.
No.
To begin with.
No.
Whereas I was quite safe being an accountant. So
Well, there's a lot of people trying to work out how to recover their businesses from the financial crash, I guess, wasn't there?
Oh, that's right. Yeah. So again, that made me realise I'd chosen a safe career.
Yeah.
But what path I was going to take, I had no idea.
Okay. So you were in London for that period of time?
Yeah, we were there for 7 years.
7 years, right? Okay. So was your first child? When was your first child was born over there? Then I guess was she?
She was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So great maternity leave packages over there.
Yeah.
Sort of took, I think it was 9 months off.
Right.
Went back, and then the hedge fund I was working for at the time. When I went back part-time.
Yeah.
And then I think it was 3 months later, so she would have been 1.
Yeah.
We bought a house in London.
Right. Okay.
And the same day we got the keys for the house, I was made redundant.
Oh, nice.
The same day.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was
quite a shock. Yeah.
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 So I needed to work. We just bought a house.
Yeah. Had to pay the mortgage.
Well, that's right. And so I had to go back full time.
Uh-huh.
So this is not what I had planned when I had a child, right? I wanted to work part time. So I had to go back full time. And I ended up working in a reinsurance company, which is a lot of financial data analysis. So that's where that came in, working as their financial management accountant there. And it was such long hours.
Yeah.
I was not seeing my daughter.
Yeah.
And then I fell pregnant with our second one.
Yeah.
And me and James both realised this is not how we want to.
Not how you want to live. Yeah.
No. So we made the decision to leave pretty soon. So that was
soon. What, 2015?
Yeah, it was. December of 2014. So just before Christmas we came back.
Yeah.
And then had him in March. And it's just been step by step by step. We've been designing our life around how we really want it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then obviously had the third and got the dog.
Did you have friends telling you that there's not a lot of difference between 2 and 3 kids and you'll be fine? It doesn't make any changes to your life? Because we had that. We don't talk to those people anymore because they lied.
Actually, yeah, they did. Just add the third. It's fine. No.
Yeah. No,
and then
your car's no longer big enough. Holidays are no longer possible to book. It changes everything.
It really does. And then people have the cheek if you're going for a fourth as well. It's like, God, no.
God, no, definitely not. So if you look back over your sort of professional career, what would you say was one of the biggest challenges you've faced, and how did you overcome it?
Oh, I would just say working full time with a family. It's a huge challenge. And so step by step, we've created. Like I work part time. I work about 25 hours now.
Yeah.
And I'm quite happy with how it's going. I've got a small team that works. One of the challenges was being over in London with no family and a young, no family, but raising a little family.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was a big challenge. But what we did, and I've always done this, is I come from quite a big family of females. Yeah. So I do create a good network of women around me. So with that, there was the NCT, which you're probably quite familiar with over there, the antenatal groups that you can be a part of. So really great, strong women that I became really good friends with over there, because it is a challenge raising a small family. And
we didn't know. We tried to we tried a few different options with us when we had our kids and they were young, because we were living away from our parents, so we didn't really have a lot of parental support with the kids when they were young, and we ended up trying childcare because we found that financially we both needed to work in order to maintain our lifestyle. But Chrissy was really not happy about being away from the kids. So with our first child, with Caitlin, she stayed home and tried to work from home. But it was struggle to keep the sort of the childcare working with her working from home as well, because kids take up a lot of your time, and having her just at home with Caitlin and then trying to work as well. She ended up working from 7 o'clock at night when I got home till 2 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, which it just didn't work for us. So we ended up with the kids going into childcare. But at one stage we were paying so much in childcare with the 3 kids that she was working full time and basically earning about £100 a month by the time she paid for her travel, paid for the childcare. But kind of, she needed to work mentally as well as financially, I think. Just and it is a hard balance to get right, I think, particularly in the UK, because certainly in the southeast you have to commute a long time to work, and it's most people work in London and live outside London, and that adds a lot of time to your journey and to your day, and trying to get that balance right between childcare and work and everything else is not easy. So fair play to you for coming back here, to be honest. It was a good call.
Well, there was a point there where our childcare was £100 cheaper than our mortgage.
Wow, yeah.
And that was just with one child.
Yeah.
And that was me working full time. But just like Chrissy, it is, you need it for your mentality as well, a purpose as well. Yeah. But also, if you take too much time off, you're out of you're fall behind.
Yeah, you do. And I mean, I think that's partly something that's wrong with our society, is that in order to feel like you're valued, you need to have a job. Well, I don't really think being a parent is way more important than having a job, I think. But we don't value that process. We don't value whether it's the father or the mother staying at home looking after the kids is not valued. So there's no support for that. And it needs to be financial support. You'll support people who are out of work, but you won't support people who are actually looking after their kids.
100%.
And that, I think that's something that we need to change, but it's hard to change, isn't it? There's money involved.
And saying that, childcare is a lot cheaper in New Zealand than it is over there.
Yeah, that's true.
Hugely. Yeah, that's true. What we found.
Yeah.
And with the budget that's just come out.
Do you know what? I haven't even looked at it yet. It's
not to go all political, but there is something there.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're absolutely right. And I think it needs to change. There needs to be more help. And also, the kids get 12 weeks off school a year, but we only get 4 weeks annual leave.
Yeah.
As a working parent.
It doesn't work.
No, it doesn't.
It's a big gap. Yeah.
And that is definitely a reason why I started my own business, because I can work from home, work around the kids, be there at school, pick up, be there at drop off. If there's cross country, I'm there. Like I say, family first, and then
Yeah, that flexibility, I think, is something that we need to have everywhere, though. I mean, and companies are starting to change their view on that. I've certainly seen over the last 2 or 3 years with the impact of the pandemic that working from home, flexible working hours are kind of the norm now, which is, it's a good outcome from a bad thing, because I think you get much more out of your employees if you're flexible with the way they work, and they get much more out of their job because, they know that they can do what they need to do outside of work and still get the job done. So I think that's a good outcome from that particularly bad period of time that we've all been through.
100%, because it's more accepted to work virtually too. Like Zoom's more accepted. Everyone knows how it works.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, so it's great.
Okay, so just thinking about your perspective on things, is there a point in time where you learned something that really changed your view on the world and people around you?
That's a tricky one, isn't it? Because you're continually learning. I tend to try and have a bit of a growth mindset or an open mindset, especially when it comes to family. I just look at it in amusement when I get chat back. But nothing in particular stands out. I suppose for me, when you talked about a challenge, my father passed away when I was 14, so quite young.
Oh, that's
Yeah, he left behind 7 children.
7 children? You're one of 7. I did not know 7. You were all girls.
1 boy.
1 boy. God, he must have had a horrible life. 6 sisters. Oh my God.
Yeah, it was. I think
was he in the middle or was he one of the ends?
He was second youngest.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. That was not the intention, by the way. Without getting too much into it, he did have a vasectomy, but it just didn't work.
He didn't.
So there you go.
So you're a good Catholic family, basically.
Yeah, we are. Raised Catholic. So in terms of that, I had to grow up pretty quickly at some, I had to get independent pretty quickly. I went to boarding school. Mum was busy with the younger ones. You grow up pretty quickly.
So were you the eldest?
One of the oldest, yeah.
Yeah.
So my perspective on life was just get on with it.
Yeah.
And
just
I don't
deal with.
Yeah. I don't really play the victim too much. I just get on with it. Take ownership, take responsibility. Yeah. If you mess up, fix it. Don't blame. Don't make excuses, that type of thing. So when I come across people that do have that victim mindset, I sometimes find myself just not having the time for it.
Yeah.
But I suppose I do need to step back a little bit.
Apologies for that approach to my life.
No, it's not you at all, because we all deal with things. But we all have that time where we sit down and, life can get hard. Life does get hard. We do get upset, and that's okay. But when people are constantly like that and they need a good talking to, it's different if it's mental illness. I think that's different. If people aren't taking responsibility for their behaviours and actions, that's when you can't make an impact or help them. I suppose that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, I think I found with my public acknowledgement of my depression that I think it was a time when I realised that I wasn't really taking control of what was going on in my life. That I was being a victim of my own depression for quite a long time, and not really recognising that was the case. And it wasn't until it got to a point where I was really, really depressed and really struggling with stuff that I actually realised I had to do something about it. And that changed my life significantly. Suddenly I felt like I had more control over stuff and was able to make good decisions about things. And I think we all have our own challenges in our lives, and it's how you deal with those challenges is a reflection of who you are as a person. But I think there is still quite a lot of stigma around mental health issues in particular, and reaching out and asking for help is not that easy. And I think that's something that our society has a real issue with mental health. That if you've got a mental health issue, then you're a failure in some way, and therefore we don't want to have anything to do with you. We don't want to talk about it because it's embarrassing, and all that kind of stuff is what drives the issues we've got with people committing suicide and other and just really struggling to deal with their own circumstances. And that's something I'm very passionate about changing. I think it's important that we recognise that mental health is as much a factor as physical health.
That's right. And what changed my perspective of it is because I always had that get on with it, sorted out, I glossed over quite a few areas of my life, and I started struggling at points. Yeah. And I take the pills as well.
Right.
So I take a low dose, and to me it just takes the edge off.
Yeah.
Because running a business back when I was on a treadmill all the time, raising a young family, it all got too much, and I couldn't cope. Yeah. In a way that I perhaps would have previously. So that perception has changed. I have become more open, more understanding, more empathetic, because I too hit it.
Yeah, well, I think that, it's a reality that we all have a limit. Every one of us has a point at which we can't cope anymore. And it's different for everybody, and the triggers are different for everybody as well. What triggers me won't necessarily trigger you, and it won't necessarily trigger anybody else. That doesn't make it any less valid, though. And that's the bit. Yeah, the bit that I've struggled with is I look at my life, and yeah, there's been a couple of bad things that's happened, but the truth is I've got a pretty good life, and that's why I struggled to accept that the depression was a real thing. Because I thought, well, I've not really got anything to be depressed about, and that's actually not true. It's the thing that I've got, the depression I've got is a chemical imbalance, so it's clinical depression, and it requires medication to manage it. And that I didn't recognise that for a long time. I've been struggling with it for probably 2 decades without really recognising that was the issue, and it took me getting to a really low point to realise that I needed that external help. And it was talking to some friends, and friends were just saying, look, it's just another, taking the tablets. While you may not want to be taking the tablets, it's just another tool in your toolbox to help you get through this stuff. And just think of it like that. And that opened my eyes really to the reality of dealing with what's going on. It's not easy. Yeah. Life's never that easy, really. And you, unless you've actually got some empathy, you don't really recognise that in other people, that they've got something else going on. And certainly I've found that since I've been openly talking about what's going on in my life, I've had a few people that have shared stuff with me that's helped me understand them a lot better. I think that it's been really cathartic for everybody. Just to be able to say, yeah, this is really tough, and this is really tough, and thanks for listening and all that kind of stuff. It just makes such a difference to people's lives,
Oh, it really does. It really does.
Absolutely. So, who would you say over your professional life, who would you say was your biggest influence?
James.
Really?
Yep.
That's nice. That's sweet. I'm sure he'd be pleased to hear that. Why is that? Why would you say he's been your biggest influence, your husband?
Oh, he's my rock.
Okay.
Everything that, he's really encouraged me running my own business. He is all for that. He has helped me every time I've hit.
He did the same for me.
Pitch. He did. See, he's brilliant. He's a keeper. Every time I've hit a roadblock, he's been there for support. Every time I've needed him, he's there. He's helped me immensely. Yeah. He's sensitive. He's insightful. Hopefully this wins me brownie points saying this. No.
You have to get him to listen to it.
Yeah. Well, he does listen.
Does he? Not good.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, I was talking to him about it last night. It would definitely be him. The other one would also be my mother.
Yeah.
Now, she obviously is a very strong woman raising all these kids on her own. She has remarried since, but she has always been really positive.
Yeah.
You won't hear her complain much. She always has something positive to say, always looks at the bright side.
Yeah.
So I take a leaf out of her book a lot as well. And she's always there.
Yeah.
Well, so I've had really good people around
you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you make sure she listens to this one as well then. Get some brownie points. Get some brownie points from the mum. Like,
what's a podcast?
True, yes. Yeah, well, I'm trying to get my dad to listen, and he's struggling with the technology, so yeah.
That's right.
Okay, look, let's talk a little bit about outside work. So what do you do, to actually recharge your batteries, because you've got running a small business. I know how hard that can be. What do you do to get out of that small business and enjoy yourself?
Walking the dog.
Yep.
If I don't walk the dog, it does impact me.
Right.
So like we talked about before, depression, needing to get out there, that's my dose. I do really enjoy that. The other thing is, since we've moved to Devonport, I got a paddleboard.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Yeah. So heading out on the paddleboard's wonderful. I don't do it as often as I'd like. Today's a beautiful Friday, but I think the wind's picking up. But I do want to do that more. But when I do that, it's great to just be out in the water.
Yeah.
Along with that, I've actually signed up to be an instructor for sailing, so waterwise.
Okay.
Yeah, so
I you do a lot of sailing, do you?
And little opti boats. So I teach the year 6 kids at our school to sail.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so that's on Fridays. And so I tend to be out on the water quite often. And that it just makes you realise some of the issues or problems you have are not as big as perhaps you can make them out to be.
Yeah.
The ocean's huge. There's nothing like being out in the water to sort of help get perspective.
Give you a bit of perspective, yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. So those are big ones. Music, I've got a terrible taste in music. So I tend to blast a few things while I'm cooking dinner.
Yeah. That your kids don't appreciate.
No.
No. So I mean, that is another thing to talk about. What do you listen to then? What music is
God.
Is embarrassing you right now?
Well, I do like the old power ballads, the 90s power ballads.
Oh, yeah.
You just...
Pat Benatar.
What?
Pat Benatar. No?
So I'm talking like Cher.
Oh, yeah.
Mariah Carey. All the 90s, like good
Celine
old
Dion.
ones. Oh, every now and then, although I can't quite hit those notes. I just put a random playlist on and it kind of works.
Yeah.
The kids also, the Disney songs?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, some of those. They get wrapped in it. So I'm telling you, terrible taste in music.
Yeah. Sounds like it. Sounds awful. So look, you've obviously done a few thhave in your life, but if you could go back to your 20-year-old self and give yourself a piece of advice about, something that you've learned since that you think you should have known about then, what would it be? Probably
now it would have been invest in shares earlier.
It's amazing the number of people say things like that, pension, looking after your future financial security.
Yeah.
But what is there anything other than having a decent pension plan?
I think I lacked confidence when I was 20.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it would be just, it's going to be okay. Believe in yourself.
Yeah.
You've got this. It's not as big as you think it's going to be. The issue's not as big as you think it is.
Yeah.
And just have fun. Like, and I did have fun in my 20s. I had a great time.
Yeah. What age did you get married?
26.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I had my first at 28.
Cool.
Pretty young now, hey?
Yeah, pretty young. Yeah, I think I'm trying to think. We were married. Got married in 97, so I was 29 when we got married, and our first kid, Caitlin, was born in 99, so I was 31 when she was born. So yeah, a little bit older than you, 5 years older than you, but
Yeah, I think James would have been 30, 31.
Yeah.
Same age. Yeah. Yeah.
We're not the same age, but he's a few years behind me, I think.
Yeah. But yeah, probably just that. Just
enjoy life.
Enjoy it. Yeah. Life is short. Like already, hitting the 40s, it does go so quickly.
Well, yeah, hitting the 55 on Friday last week. That's that's a little bit too close to retirement for me, really. I think, but I think that's something else I've realised is that there's more to life than work as well.
100%.
That you need to get that balance right, or the blend between work and home life right. I mean, look, just one thing that I found when I started my business, and I was dealing with you at the time, was working from home. I found it hard to separate work and home.
Yeah.
Do you have that issue as well?
No, I feel quite lucky to work from home.
Yeah.
Because I don't work full time.
Yeah.
So I do have a finite amount of hours that I can work, and I need to get the work done.
Yeah.
So I can be very productive in the time I've got.
Yeah.
Yes, I can get distracted, but I get it done.
Yeah.
So hiring females is a really good idea. Very productive, very productive.
I keep trying, but they keep getting stolen from me by people who want to pay twice as much money for them.
Yes, But no, a lot of people do have that issue. But no, I feel lucky that I can work from home, that I've created and designed it so that I can. Yeah. I wouldn't work in an office.
Right.
I'd feel chained. I'd feel too locked in.
Yeah.
So when I'm working from home, I can just go for a walk along the beach with my dog. At midday, I'm very flexible. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it works for me. Good. Yeah,
that's good. So I think it can be a challenge because you're not really separating work and home. You're kind of working in your home, and I found it quite hard to separate the two. I found it quite hard. Either I didn't stop working or I couldn't get started. Because
boundaries.
The boundaries.
You need to have very strict boundaries.
Yeah.
I actually, I've worked through that.
Yeah, I mean the way I found was a good way to actually put those boundaries in place is that I would get up for work and I would get dressed in work clothes, even though I was staying at home. And, just because it was that routine of actually being ready for work made a difference to me. So then at the end of the day, I would change clothes, go into something that wasn't work clothes so that I could then say, yes, I've finished work now. And it's that sort of, I think you're right, getting the boundaries. And that helped me set the boundaries is that, I'm at work, I wear work clothes. I'm not at work, I don't wear work clothes. And that's kind of,
same.
Yeah, it helps you change your mindset as much as anything else, going through that sort of routine and that process. I think that's cool.
I agree. Have you read the book Atomic Habits by James Clear?
The one that you bought for me?
Yeah. Have you read that? Okay, so you need to read that. So what I do when I'm working is when I go into my office, because I've got my office here at home, is I put these on. So I put my headphones on, and that is work mode activated, basically.
Yeah.
And so when that's on, it's work. And then when I take it off, it's not work.
Yeah.
And I went through a period of not having emails on my phone either.
Right.
So I took them off because you can just get drawn into it all the time.
Yes. Yeah.
But the longer I'm running my business, the better boundaries I do have in place.
No, that's good. So, okay, just looking back over your work life, is there a decision that you made that you look back on and think, oh, I wish I hadn't made that decision, or has it been a case of the decisions may not have gone the way you wanted, but they've always ended up teaching you something?
Yeah, I think when the time in London, I always chased the paycheck.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'd always just pay more. And I remember having a conversation with James, I really just don't really like what I'm doing. And he goes, all right, well, let's go find something else. But then without a doubt, a couple of weeks later, there would be something going on. There'd be a pay increase or something. Just a little bit.
Yeah.
But I wasn't happy.
Yeah.
I didn't have the impact I wanted to have. I was just another clog in the wheel. It was not inspiring.
Yeah.
So in that respect, I suppose there's that. But I don't regret it because I learned a lot there as well.
Yeah.
That's where I got my analytical skills. I really got into numbers a bit more. I can understand them more.
Yeah.
So it all builds up to where I am now. I definitely know what I want and what I don't want, and how I want to run my business and how I don't want to run my business, and also the type of people I want to work with.
Yeah.
So it all led me here.
Yeah.
But I think, again, if I were to tell my younger self, I'd be like, just make a plan, understand what's important for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Find your happy place, I guess, is the part of it. Whether it's at work or whether it's at home, where's your happy place is an important lesson to learn, I think, for all of us.
Yes.
From my own perspective, I've had a couple of jobs where I've ended up really hating being there. But again, what I've learned from that is that you can always make a change, and sometimes you may not think you can, but you always can. You've always got a choice, whether you believe that or not. The experience teaches you that you can actually change things if you need to, and having that confidence that you can change things however you need to is a big part of growing up as a sort of an adult, I think.
It's quite empowering, isn't it?
It is,
knowing you do have a choice. You can take control.
Yeah. I mean, I was
not working.
No, I was having a lot of trouble with a particular workplace and a particular line manager of mine. And I was seeing somebody, a physiotherapist at the time, because I'd had a few issues with my back. And he was telling me that I needed to change jobs, that the stress that I was under at work was causing the issues that I had in my back. And my attitude at the time was like yourself. I'm chasing the paycheck. They're paying me well. We need the money. I've got to do that for looking after my family. And what I've learned since then is by not looking after myself, I'm not looking after my family anyway. And I should have listened to what he said, because 2 years later I ended up in hospital, in intensive, well, not in intensive care, but in a hospital ward for about 2 weeks, because I had a major medical issue. So that was around when 9/11 happened. I was in a hospital bed. So that's how I remember 9/11, and that's all stress related. And, just not looking after myself got to a point where, I was very ill at work on a Sunday and went home, struggled to get home because I felt so rough, and ended up in hospital for 2 weeks.
So what happened? Did you keep working, or did you?
I changed jobs shortly after that, to be fair.
Yeah, good. Yeah. Stress is awful. It really comes up in all.
It's really debilitating, and you don't. Yeah. I think it's that analogy of if you want to cook a frog, put the frog in cold water and turn the heat on, and they'll stay in the water. If you drop them in hot water, they'll jump out. And that's stress for me. Is it comes up slowly, and it gets to a point where it's just the normal how you feel, and you don't recognise that you're really struggling with stress, because it just builds up over time. And I think it causes so many other health issues that we don't really recognise that we can change that sometimes. And that certainly happened to me. So
yeah, it's reading the signs, isn't it? It is really important.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and recognising. I mean, I recognise that now, but I didn't recognise it in my 30s, unfortunately.
I don't think you do though at that age, do you?
No. You almost think you're indestructible at that age. I think
100%.
Which is not true, obviously. So, in terms of other things outside of work, you read, obviously.
Yes, I am reading The Seven Sisters.
You are you?
Yes.
And how's that going?
Oh, it's great. So there's 7 sisters, obviously.
Yeah.
And there's
you're being one of 7.
Sister. Well, funny you say that, because my mum actually bought the books, and they are going through all of our sisters. So all of my sisters. Yeah. So my other sisters are reading the other books, and once they're finished, it comes to me, and then I pass it on to another. Yeah, it's quite. It's elaborate. It's like a Hallmark movie, isn't it? Yeah. So that's what I'm reading at the moment.
So what would be your favourite book, though, if you could pick a book that you keep going back to?
You know what? I reckon it is The Habits, the Atomic Habits. I've read that twice now. Yeah. Okay. And I have my toxic behaviour is buying business, reading the first couple of chapters, and then
bored,
having it beside my bed. Because I find I like to read at night time, but if I read a business book or something like that, that doesn't get me ready for sleepy for bed. It wakes me up more. So it's finding the time in the day to be able to read it. So that's what I struggle with to get through them. So I do want to read them. I just don't know when or how to build that into my day yet.
Right.
That's a work in progress.
That's a work in progress, yeah. If you could pick a character, whether they're a historical character or whether they're a fictional character that you'd really like to meet, have dinner with and have a conversation with, who would that be?
Well, I was actually talking to James about this one last night, because what I would have loved is having my mum and dad at a dinner table with his mum and dad and me and him. So the 6 of us having a nice cooked meal together and just chatting, because James never met my father. His father went too young as well. That's the ideal, probably, is getting it all together.
Similar to mine, because my dad's mum died when he was 16, I think. So I never met her. And I'd really like to have met her, just because she sounded like she was an amazing person from what I know about her. But that's good. I like that answer. That's a good answer.
Yeah.
Some people say, I'd like to meet some historical, fictional character or historical character. But I think that family tie is important. Knowing who you are and where you come from, that's a big thing for me at the moment. Doing my family tree on Ancestry.com as I am.
Oh, are you?
Yeah, I did my.
Are you getting a few answers?
Yeah. I found something out that was quite surprising, which was that my maternal grandfather isn't my maternal grandfather.
Oh,
that was quite an interesting revelation.
Yeah.
My parents suspected as much. My mum and dad suspected as much, because my mum's got blue eyes and both of my maternal grandparents had brown eyes, and you can't get blue eyes from two brown-eyed people, apparently.
Interesting.
So there was always some debate. But I did the DNA thing as well on Ancestry.com. And
no way. Okay.
Yeah, and found out that I am entirely European. Most of my DNA is Scottish, which isn't really a surprise to me because my father's side of the family are all very Scottish. But there's sort of Northern Europe and Germany and other bits and pieces in me as well. So it was quite an interesting thing to do, I think. Just find a little bit out about who you are. In a different way, I guess.
I think so, having that connection.
You said you've done a bit of traveling around the world, but is there somewhere that you've never been that you'd really like to get to?
New York. Hands down. New York. Me and my daughter, who's 10 now, me and her are planning to go to New York together.
Is there any particular time of year you want to go to New York? Do you want to be there for New Year's Eve or during the summer, or is it just any time you want to get to New York?
Oh, I haven't thought that far ahead. We're planning a trip when she hits 21.
Well, that's 11 years away. That's a long time to wait.
I know, but I figure that would be the best time to go together. She's all for it. It's brilliant. Probably New York. I regret not going there when we lived in England, because that would have been quite a smart move to have done.
Yeah.
So New York, hands down.
Anywhere else?
Switzerland.
Switzerland's beautiful.
Yeah.
Been there once. It was very nice.
Yeah, we had planned a trip there, and then a volcano erupted when we were living in England, and all sorts of things happened.
That was Iceland.
Cancelled.
That was Iceland, I think, wasn't it?
Something happened.
Yeah, and it shut all the flights down because of the.
And it got cancelled, so we never quite made it there. But those would be my top two.
Right. Okay. And what about? Is there a particular band or singer that you've never seen live that you'd really like to see live?
There was Bon Jovi.
Oh, right. Okay.
But me and my daughter are going to see Pink next year, which should be fun.
Yeah.
But
why John Bon Jovi? What was it about?
I just love some of his music.
Yeah. It's not the tiny leather waistcoats and the tight leather trousers then.
Oh, just the belting out the tunes. I'm all for it. Yeah, getting up and having a bit of a boogie. Always wanted to do that, never made that one. Went to a few concerts in England, and that was quite fun. And Lady Gaga at the time was the opening act, so she wasn't very well known at the time.
Yeah.
And that was quite cool. That was fun.
Yeah.
But
so who was she opening for then?
Oh.
You don't want to tell me?
I don't. It was a boy band.
Okay.
What was it?
NSYNC?
No.
Backstreet Boys?
To it. No, close to it.
Funny that you can remember Lady Gaga and not the band you actually went to see.
Oh, I know. It was good. Do you know what did happen when we were in England, though, when we first moved over there? I was walking home from work, and U2 was playing just around the corner on the roof.
Oh, yeah.
Just an impromptu concert.
Wow.
And they were singing It's a Beautiful Day.
Yeah.
Another Hallmark Channel moment. It was great. That's what I loved about London, I think. It was always walk around a corner.
There's always something going on. Yeah. So I mean, London was an amazing place to spend time for sure. I think the thing that I found is that you could easily walk past something not realizing what you were walking past. Like there's so much history in that city. And a lot of the time, if you looked up, you'd see the evidence of how old the building was that you were walking past, and how long it had been where it was, and just that's something that I miss from Europe is the history, because New Zealand is a relatively new country from that perspective, and you've still got quite a lot of history here, I guess, but it doesn't feel like it's as old a civilization, I guess, as Europe is. And that's something that me and Chrissy are really keen to explore more of, I think, when we do eventually retire, just, spend time traveling around Europe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be cool.
My retirement plan is to buy a house in Tuscany, don't you?
No, I did not know that.
Yeah, that's the plan.
That's the plan. Oh, let's work towards that plan. That sounds like a great one.
Yeah. Sell up here in New Zealand and then move to Tuscany, live in Tuscany for our retirement and travel around Europe from there.
Can you speak the language?
Starting to learn, so no.
Yeah?
Not yet, but we're starting to learn.
That sounds great.
Good.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good that you'll be going back. I can't imagine leaving New Zealand. Well, I have rose-tinted glasses, but I can't imagine leaving here. This is definitely where
you want to stay.
We'll stay. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think that what's driving it for us is we do want to travel, and whilst New Zealand is great, it's really expensive and takes a long time to travel from here to anywhere.
You're not wrong.
And that is sort of a limiting thing for us. If we're in Europe, we can get flights to the rest of the world a lot cheaper and a lot easier.
Yeah, and you're from over there as well.
Yeah, well, I am, but Chris is Kiwi, so she's. Yeah. But she said that the idea of being able to travel around is important, and it's not that easy to do that from here.
God, no. Even flights to Australia are ridiculous sometimes.
Well, flights within New Zealand.
Internally.
Oh, stupidly ridiculous. But my kids came down for the birthday party last weekend, and it cost, I think Lucy's flights were $300 return from Palmerston North to Christchurch. And, it's an hour-long flight that before the pandemic, I think we were paying $70 for that flight, and it's now $300, which is just wrong.
We go down to Arrowtown quite a lot. So when we lived in Christchurch, it was quite good because we could just jump in the car and go there whenever we wanted. We're lucky enough that there's a house in the family that we can stay at.
Yeah.
But from Auckland now, we've really got to reconsider it. It's for a family of 5, and then
flying
you've got
into Queenstown.
Car. Yeah, it's a lot. So we don't get there as much as we like anymore.
That's not good. Is there anything else? Because I've kind of gone through all the things I wanted to talk to you about. Is there anything else you want to share with us before we finish up?
That's putting me on the spot there, Steve.
Yeah, well, that's my job. For a change, tables turned a little bit.
It has a little bit. No, I mean, I am inspired by you starting a podcast. It's something I have wanted do for quite some time, but have never got around to doing it. So I think that's great. You've made the time to do it. Make the time.
It's good fun. I'm using it as a way of sort of as a hobby, I guess, outside of work, something to do it is not really work related, because I'm talking to people about their lives rather than business development or anything like that. It's not intended that I'm going to grow my business from doing this. It's just something I enjoy doing. I like talking to people, and I've certainly realised that there's a lot of interesting stories out there. Whoever you talk to has got a story, and sometimes those stories can be quite inspirational, and in some small way might help somebody else to do something that they're struggling with. So I'm hoping that we'll get a loyal followers on my podcast, and we'll spread the word that life's an interesting journey and make the most of it, really.
Well, it's powerful stories, isn't it? Yeah. I think in the busy day we quite quickly gloss over things a little bit. Yes. So conversations like this is awesome. Really good to have.
Thank you very much for making the time, Sarah. It's been great talking to you as always. And I'll get this all edited, and I'll let you have a listen to it. And if you want me to delete any of the sections that you don't want other people to know about, then I'm happy to do that. But it's been really great talking to you, and I look forward to catching up with you soon.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Likewise, Steve. It's been great.
Thanks, Sarah. I'll speak to you soon. Cheers. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to my podcast, A Penny for Your Thoughts, with me, Steve Penny. I hope you've enjoyed today's conversation, and I look forward to sharing my next conversation with you. If you want to find out some more, please do get in touch, and maybe we can have you on in a future show. Thank you.